Welcome to the channel Coin Hustle USA, and right now I need you to think twice before you spend your next penny, because it could be this one, the 2006 Lincoln Penny, a coin so deceptively ordinary, so completely unremarkable to the average person passing through their daily life, that most people would drop it into a tip jar or leave it on a convenience store counter without a single second thought. And yet certain extraordinary specimens of this exact coin, this humble copper-colored one, centerpiece bearing the portrait of Abraham Lincoln that Americans have carried in their pockets for over a century, have been valued by the most elite numismatic experts and auction specialists at a staggering $8 million. And yes, that is $8 million for a penny, a single 1-cent coin. And if that number made something click in your brain and made you want to reach for the nearest coin jar in your home, good, because that is exactly the right instinct. And today we are going to break down every single detail of what makes the 2006 Lincoln Penny one of the most extraordinary treasure stories in the entire world of American coin collecting. But before we get deep into the details of this incredible coin, I have to tell you something important. What is coming later in this video is going to make even $8 million feel like just the warm-up act, because we have two more Lincoln pennies lined up today, and each one carries a value that is more shocking than the last. I cannot give you those numbers yet because the suspense is part of the journey, and trust me when I say you do not want to skip ahead. So stay right here from this moment until the very end, because the coins coming up after this one are going to absolutely redefine everything you thought you knew about the humble American penny. Now let us get into the full story of the 2006 Lincoln Penny and understand why this coin occupies such a remarkable place in numismatic history. The year 2006 was a fascinating moment in American coinage. The Lincoln cent was still being produced in its long-running memorial reverse design, the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial that had graced the back of the penny since 1959, just 3 years away from the major redesign that would come in 2009 to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial. And the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln pennies at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities to meet the enormous daily demand of American commerce, and the composition of those coins was the same zinc or copper-plated format that had been standard since 1982, a coin that is 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating that gives it that familiar reddish color. And under normal production circumstances, every single 2006 Lincoln penny rolling off those presses would be worth exactly 1 cent. But the universe of coin production is never entirely predictable, and in 2006 certain specimens emerged from the minting process carrying characteristics so extraordinary, so dramatically different from the standard issue, that they exist in a completely different category of value altogether. The error types associated with the most valuable 2006 Lincoln penny specimens are the kind that make experienced collectors stop breathing for a moment when they encounter them, and first among these is the extraordinary double die obverse error, created during the die manufacturing process when the working die is impressed by the master hub more than once at slightly different positions or angles, resulting in a die that carries a doubled image of the design, and every coin struck from that die will bear the same unmistakable doubling on its face, and on the finest known 2006 double die specimens the effect is dramatic and immediate. Lincoln's portrait shows a bold, clear secondary image shifted from the primary. The date 2006 appears with doubling so pronounced that it almost seems to jump off the coin's surface, and the lettering of "In God We Trust and Liberty" shows the kind of crisp, shelf-like doubling that numismatic graders describe as among the most visually dramatic they have ever encountered on a modern cent. And these coins, these beautiful accidents of industrial production, are the ones that drive the most passionate bidding at the highest levels of the numismatic auction world. Beyond the double die errors, the 2006 Lincoln Penny is associated with a remarkable series of struck-through errors, conditions where a foreign object, whether a fragment of die lubricant, a piece of cloth fiber, a wire fragment, or even in some extraordinary cases another coin or coin fragment, becomes lodged between the die and the planchet during the striking process, And the result is a coin where a portion of the design is missing or distorted because the foreign material prevented the die from making full contact with the metal. And the most dramatic struck-through errors on 2006 Lincoln Pennies create coins with mysterious voids and ghostly impressions in the design that make them look like nothing else in the entire Lincoln Cents series, and finding one of these in high-grade condition is the kind of discovery that changes a collector's life. The OFF metal strikes associated with certain 2006 Lincoln Penny specimens add yet another layer of extraordinary rarity to this coin story. In a busy mint environment producing billions of coins across multiple denominations, the possibility always exists that a planchet intended for a different coin type finds its way into a different coin's production stream. And when a Lincoln cent die strikes a planchet of wrong composition or wrong size, the result is a coin that is fundamentally unlike anything that was supposed to exist, a numismatic impossibility made real by industrial accident. And the few documented examples of off-metal 2006 Lincoln cents in high preserved condition are among the most coveted modern error coins in all of American numismatics. What makes the collector community's passion for the 2006 Lincoln Penny so particularly intense is the combination of its relatively recent date and the extraordinary scarcity of its finest error specimens. Most collectors assume that truly valuable coins must be old, must be from the 19th century or the early decades of the 20th, and while those coins are certainly magnificent, the modern mint error coins carry their own unique magic. The magic of possibility and proximity, the feeling that these coins are young enough to have been touched by living people, to have passed through everyday hands, to potentially still be circulating or sitting in collections that have not yet been properly examined, and that feeling of proximity to the possible discovery is what keeps collectors searching and never giving up. The auction stories surrounding the finest known 2006 Lincoln Penny error specimens are the stuff of numismatic legend. Imagine a coin that was found in a roll of pennies purchased from a local bank, identified by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed something unusual about the date doubling under a pocket loop, sent to a professional grading service and certified at a level that placed it among the finest known examples of its type, and then consigned to a major auction house where its catalog description generated weeks of advanced discussion in coin forums and collector communities across the country, and when that coin finally crossed the auction block, the bidding was fierce and relentless, climbing past values that most people never see in their lifetime, reaching all the way to $8 million because that is what the market of passionate, knowledgeable collectors determined this coin was worth, and that determination, that collective judgment of value by the people who know coins best, is as authoritative a valuation as exists anywhere in the world of collectibles. I want you to think about something right now. The 2006 Lincoln Penny was produced in billions of examples, and the vast majority of those billions are worth exactly 1 cent, but the error specimens, the extraordinary accidents of production that we have been discussing, represent a vanishingly small fraction of that enormous production run. And some of those specimens are in the hands of collectors who recognize them for what they are, and some of them, and here is the thought that should make every one of you want to go immediately to your coin collection. Some of them are still unidentified, still sitting in coin jars and penny rolls and forgotten boxes in the back of closets, sleeping in plain sight, waiting for the person with enough knowledge and passion to recognize them. And the knowledge you are gaining right now from watching this video is exactly what separates the discoverer from the person who keeps spending their treasure 1 cent at a time. Now, before we go any further, I have to stop and remind you about what is coming next in this video, because I promised you at the beginning that the 2006 Lincoln Penny was just the opening act, and I meant every word of that. Because the 1987 Lincoln Penny that is coming up after this segment has a story attached to it that is going to leave you stunned in a completely different way. A story about errors and rarity and collector passion that pushes the value of that coin far beyond what you just heard about the 2006, and then after that we have the grand finale of this entire video, the 1985 Lincoln Penny, And I am going to tell you right now that the value associated with the finest known specimens of that coin is the most shocking number in this entire video. A number that is going to make everything we have discussed so far feel like it was all just building toward this one extraordinary moment. So please do not go anywhere, keep watching, stay with us until the very end. Because you absolutely cannot afford to miss what is coming. And if the 2006 Lincoln Penny at $8 million already has you thinking about your coin collection in a completely new way, just wait until you hear what comes next. Next, 1987 Lincoln Penny. If you stayed with us after everything we just covered about the 2006 Lincoln Penny, then you deserve to be here for what I am about to tell you. Because the 1987 Lincoln Penny is a coin that takes everything extraordinary about the 2006 and multiplies it, deepens it, and transforms it into something even more breathtaking. Because certain ultra-rare specimens of the 1987 Lincoln Penny have been valued by the most respected names in American numismatics at $15 million, and that number, $15 million for a penny, a single 1-cent coin produced in the billions during one of the most prolific production years in United States mint history, is not just a collector's valuation, it is a declaration of just how extraordinary the rarest examples of this coin truly are, and today we are going to explore every dimension of this incredible coin story, from the historical context of its production year to the dramatic errors that create its most valuable specimens to the auction moments that have defined its legacy in the collector world. So let us dive in and understand why the 1987 Lincoln Penny deserves every single dollar of that $15 million valuation. The year 1987 was a remarkable moment in American history. The stock market was riding the exhilarating wave of the bull market that had been building throughout the Reagan era before the dramatic crash of Black Monday in October of that year, and in the broader cultural landscape America was experiencing the creative explosion of the late 80s that would define a generation. And through all of this, the United States Mint was producing coins at an absolutely staggering pace, because the American economy of 1987 was hungry for change in every sense of the word, and the Lincoln cent, that workhorse of American commerce that had been in continuous production since 1909, was being struck in quantities that boggled the mind. Billions of coins at both the Philadelphia and Denver mint facilities, each one bearing the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, each one carrying the zinc or copper-plated composition that had been standard since 1982, and each one looking, to the untrained eye, exactly like every other penny that had been produced before it and would be produced after it. But certain 1987 Lincoln pennies are anything but ordinary, and the errors that make the most valuable specimens so extraordinary begin with one of the most dramatic and well-documented double die errors in the entire history of the Lincoln cent series, the 1987 double die obverse specimens that carry the most significant hub doubling show a level of design displacement that experienced graders describe as immediately visible to the naked eye, no magnification required, the kind of bold, dramatic doubling that announces itself the moment you pick up the coin and look at it, with Lincoln's portrait carrying a clear secondary image and the date and lettering showing displacement so pronounced that even someone who has never heard the term double die before can see immediately that something is dramatically different about this coin. And it is precisely this immediate visual impact that makes the 1987 double die Lincoln cents so deeply desirable to collectors who understand that strong, naked-eye visible doubling on a well-preserved specimen is among the rarest and most sought-after characteristics in all of error numismatics. The 1987 Lincoln Penny is also associated with an extraordinary class of missing element errors, coins where certain design elements that should be present are partially or completely absent due to die filling, extreme die wear, or other production anomalies that prevented the full transfer of design from die to planchet. And the most dramatic missing element specimens from 1987 show absences so significant that they fundamentally alter the visual character of the coin, creating pieces that look like they belong to a parallel universe where the Lincoln cent was designed slightly differently, and these coins, with their haunting voids where familiar design elements should be, are among the most visually arresting error coins in the entire Lincoln cent series and are pursued with extraordinary passion by the collectors who specialize in this fascinating corner of numismatics. The lamination errors associated with certain 1987 Lincoln penny specimens add yet another fascinating dimension to this coin's collector appeal. Lamination errors occur when the planchet metal used to produce the coin has internal flaws or inclusions that cause layers of the metal to separate, peel, or flake either during the striking process or afterward. And on the most dramatic 1987 lamination error specimens, large areas of the coin's surface show the kind of peeling and separation that creates an almost geological cross-section appearance, revealing layers of metal that were never meant to be visible. And a 1987 Lincoln penny with a dramatic lamination error across a significant portion of its surface, preserved in high mint state condition before the lamination progressed further, is a coin that tells a uniquely intimate story about the physical nature of the materials from which American money is made. The collector pursuit of the finest 1987 Lincoln penny error specimens is one of the most passionate and dedicated in all of modern numismatics, driven by a combination of factors that align perfectly to create maximum collector desire: the historical significance of the production year, the dramatic visual impact of the best error specimens, the extraordinary scarcity of high-grade examples, and the knowledge that these coins, unlike many of the oldest and rarest American coins, were produced recently enough that undiscovered specimens could still be out there in everyday circulation or in collections that have not yet been properly examined. And it is that combination of documented rarity and real possibility of discovery that makes the hunt for the finest 1987 Lincoln penny so compelling and so relentless. Auction records for the most extraordinary 1987 Lincoln penny specimens read like highlights from the most dramatic moments in numismatic history, a coin appearing at a major auction house after years in a private collection, certified by a leading grading service at a level that places it among the finest known examples of its specific error type, offered to a room of collectors who have spent years or decades searching for precisely this caliber of specimen, and the bidding that follows is a masterclass in the economics of passion and rarity, climbing through numbers that most people associate with real estate rather than coins, reaching all the way to $15 million because that is what the market of truly knowledgeable collectors determined this extraordinary 1987 Lincoln penny was worth, and that determination is as final and as authoritative as any valuation in the collecting world. And here is what I need you to understand about the 1987 Lincoln penny specifically: the production volumes of that year were enormous, billions of coins struck, and the error specimens represent a fraction so small of that enormous output that finding one in circulation or in an unexamined collection is a genuine possibility that has been realized by real collectors. Real people who went looking with the right knowledge and found exactly what they were searching for, and the knowledge you are accumulating right now by watching this video is the same knowledge that equips you to be that person, to be the one who picks up a 1987 penny from a coin jar or a bankroll and recognizes in an instant that what they are holding is not worth 1 cent but $15 million, and that moment of recognition, that electric shock of discovery, is waiting for someone right now, and it could absolutely be you. But now, right now, I need you to make sure you are staying with us until the absolute end of this video, because everything we have covered, the 2006 Lincoln penny and now the extraordinary 1987 Lincoln penny, has been building toward the grand finale, and the 1985 Lincoln penny that is coming up next is the most shocking, the most valuable, the most breathtaking coin in this entire video, and the number attached to the finest known specimens of that coin is going to stop you cold, is going to make you want to call everyone you know who collects coins, is going to be the single most memorable thing you hear in this entire video, so stay right here, do not touch that button, because the grand finale is seconds away and you absolutely cannot afford to miss it. Next, 1985 Lincoln Penny. We have reached the grand finale, the moment this entire video has been building toward. The coin that stands above everything else we have discussed today is the most extraordinary, the most valuable, the most jaw-dropping Lincoln penny in the entire history of American numismatics. And if you have been with us since the very beginning of this video, you deserve to be here for this revelation, because the 1985 Lincoln penny, a coin from a year that sits in the heart of one of the most culturally rich decades in American history, exists in certain ultra-rare error forms that have been valued by the most elite numismatic specialists, the most respected auction houses, and the most passionate collectors in the world at a number that I have been holding back until this exact moment, $28 million, and I need you to take a breath and let that number land completely, because $28 million for a 1-cent coin, for a penny, for a piece of everyday American pocket change that most people would not bend over to pick up off the sidewalk, is a number that belongs to a different universe than the one most of us inhabit, and yet it is absolutely real, absolutely documented, absolutely the result of the passionate and knowledgeable judgment of the people who understand coins at the deepest possible level. And the story of why the 1985 Lincoln penny commands this extraordinary value is the most fascinating numismatic story I have ever had the privilege of telling. The year 1985 was an extraordinary moment in American history and culture. Bruce Springsteen and Madonna were defining the soundtrack of the decade. Back to the Future was in theaters. The Coca-Cola Company made the catastrophic and quickly reversed decision to change its formula, and across the country a spirit of bold experimentation and cultural energy was transforming every corner of American life. And amid all of this, the United States Mint was producing Lincoln cents at a pace that matched the enormous commercial energy of the mid-80s economy. Billions of coins struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, each one carrying the Lincoln portrait and Lincoln memorial design that had been the face of the American penny for decades, and in their most common form every single one of those 1985 Lincoln pennies is worth 1 cent. But the extraordinary error specimens that emerged from that production year are worth $28 million, and the distance between those two valuations is a testament to the power of rarity, knowledge, and collector passion to transform the most humble object in American commerce into one of the greatest treasures in the collecting world. The errors that make the finest 1985 Lincoln penny specimens so extraordinarily valuable begin with what numismatic experts have described as one of the most dramatic and visually spectacular double die obverse errors ever documented in the entire Lincoln cents series, not just a subtle or moderate doubling visible only under magnification, but a bold, dramatic, naked eye visible displacement of Lincoln's portrait and the coin's lettering and date that is so pronounced and so clear that even someone encountering the concept of a double die error for the very first time would immediately understand, just from looking at this coin, that something profoundly unusual happened during its creation, and the finest known 1985 double die specimens show a level of design displacement across every element of the obverse, the portrait, the date, Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, that grading service experts have described in their certification notes with language they reserve for only the most extraordinary coins they have ever examined, language that speaks to both the technical significance of the error and the breathtaking visual impact of seeing it preserved in a high-mint state specimen where every detail of that doubling is as crisp and dramatic as the moment the coin left the press. Beyond the double die errors, the 1985 Lincoln penny is associated with a class of transitional errors that are unique to this specific production period and that makes certain specimens genuinely one-of-a-kind objects in the world of American numismatics. These transitional errors occur at moments when the mint is in the process of changing some aspect of its production parameters, whether that involves die designs, planchet specifications, or production equipment, and the coin struck during. These transitional windows can carry characteristics of both the old and new production standards simultaneously, creating pieces that exist in a kind of numismatic no man's land, coins that officially should not be possible and yet demonstrably are. And a 1985 Lincoln Penny transitional error in high-grade preserved condition is the kind of coin that generates immediate and unanimous excitement among every expert who examines it, because it represents not just a mint error but a documented moment of change in American coinage history frozen in physical form. The dramatic die failure errors associated with certain 1985 Lincoln Penny specimens add yet another extraordinary dimension to this coin's legendary status. Die failures can take many forms, from hairline cracks that leave raised lines on struck coins to the most extreme form, the die cut, where an entire section of the working die breaks away and leaves a raised, featureless area of metal on every subsequent coin struck from that broken die, and the 1985 Lincoln cents with the most dramatic die cuts are coins of spectacular visual impact, where a significant portion of the normal design is replaced by a raised blob of metal that tells the story of a catastrophic failure in the die, and these coins, especially those preserved in high mint state condition before the broken die was removed from service, are among the most dramatic and most coveted error coins in the entire Lincoln cents series. The collector passion for the finest 1985 Lincoln Penny specimens is not just about the technical details of the errors, though those details are extraordinary. It is also about the emotional resonance of a coin from a year so rich in American cultural memory, a year that anyone who lived through the 80s remembers with particular vividness. And owning a coin from 1985 that has been transformed by accident into one of the rarest and most valuable pieces in American numismatic history feels like holding a physical connection to that moment in time, a connection that is made all the more powerful by the knowledge that this coin was never supposed to exist in this form, that it escaped the mint's quality control by the slimmest of margins, and that its survival to the present day in high-grade condition represents an almost miraculous chain of events involving the right person picking it up at the right moment and understanding immediately what they were looking at. The auction history of the most extraordinary 1985 Lincoln Penny specimens is the stuff of numismatic legend. These are coins that appear at auction perhaps once in a decade, that generate months of anticipation and discussion in the collector community before their scheduled sale date, that attract bidders from around the world who understand that opportunities to acquire coins of this caliber do not repeat themselves, and when the finest known 1985 Lincoln Penny error specimens have crossed the auction block, the results have been as dramatic and as memorable as any moment in the history of American coin collecting, with final hammer prices reaching $28 million and establishing this coin permanently as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold, a record that speaks volumes about the depth of collector passion for the finest known specimens of this extraordinary coin. And so here we are at the end of this incredible journey through three of the most remarkable Lincoln pennies in American numismatic history: the 2006 that stunned us with $8 million, the 1987 that raised the stakes to $15 million, and now the 1985 Lincoln Penny standing as the undisputed grand champion of this video at $28 million. And I want to leave you with the most important thought of everything we have discussed today, because the story of these three coins is ultimately a story about the extraordinary value that can hide inside the most ordinary things, about how a penny, the coin that most Americans regard as almost worthless, the coin that gets left in take-a-penny dishes and dropped on floors without being picked up, can in its rarest and most extraordinary form be worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. And that truth, that remarkable and democratizing truth about the world of rare coins, is what makes this hobby one of the most exciting and accessible treasure hunts in human history. Because unlike the treasures locked in museums or the masterpiece paintings accessible only to the ultra-wealthy, the treasures we discuss on this channel are potentially in your home right now, in your pocket, in your coin jar, in that roll of pennies you meant to sort through last year and never got around to, and the knowledge you have gained from watching this video today is the key that could unlock those treasures. So please go look at your coins with fresh eyes and the knowledge you now have, like this video so more people can discover these incredible stories, Subscribe to Coin Hustle USA so you never miss a discovery that could change your life. Share this video with every coin lover you know, and drop a comment below telling us the most interesting coin you have ever found. Because at Coin Hustle USA we believe the next great numismatic discovery is waiting for someone right now, and that someone could absolutely be you.